I'm so pleased to be meeting with you today. You just don't know. My heart is full. And especially as I look around and I know some of you from other places, and I know how wonderful you'll be serving on the board. And it makes me very proud that the board is so strong and that the center is still going strong and that you've come to learn, as part of being part of the Samaritan Center. To give you a little bit of information and background on how Samaritan Center began, it was first imagined in 1985, so I don't know when you were born, but 1986?
Yes, 96.
Oh, 96, okay, so we were 11 or something. Anyway, it was an interesting time because a dear friend of mine and some of yours, Judy Hormel, and I were attending the university as Masters in Social Work students. And we rode into UH almost every day with Dr. Marita Nelson, who was a professor there. And so we got to talk every day. And late in our education, during our second year of Masters, we were doing practicum and we were instructed in some classes not to bring up religion as part of the counseling, that was a no-no, that you didn't raise that question. Both Judy and I, sitting in the back seat, it just didn't ring true. How can you do counseling without incorporating everything in a person's, area, including spirituality, of course. And it just didn't seem right to us. And that was sort of the gem of the kernel that started us on the track to start the Samaritan Counseling Center. So it was in 1985. And we were both Judy and I, our husbands are ministers, and so we were involved in the church, and so we started thinking, isn't it possible to start a center which involves the churches in Honolulu, because we're a small place, or Hawaii in general, and have the sort of the mandate to include in that being able to speak about religion and inquire and have that part of the therapy process, but also have it a counseling center that was affordable for everybody and that was available to everybody. We weren't sure how that was going to happen, but we thought that was very, very important. The center was unique as we started, and we wanted it also to be inclusive of the many religious dimensions that are here in Hawaii. How important that is. And we're in such a unique position in Hawaii to be cooperative with so many different churches and traditions and religious traditions. And our clients obviously would be coming from those traditions. So it behooved us to be in touch with all those different organizations. So we began to think of a counseling center that would incorporate all these things into the healing process. We wanted a sliding fee scale because we didn't want anybody to be turned away. And we weren't sure how that was going to work, but we wanted to make sure that if somebody really needed the counseling, they would be able to receive it. So that's where that got plugged in. And then, to make sure we weren't crazy, in 1986, we gathered a group of people together out in Hawaii Kai, and we had our first meeting. And Bob Hughes was our acting president at the time, and we invited ministers and friends and people to come together just to share our ideas about what do you think about a center like this. And what came out of it was we should send out a questionnaire to physicians, to ministers, and to other community professionals and say, what do you think about the kind of center that would incorporate all these things? We also sent it to many doctors, and we got a lot of results. And everybody said, that's something that's needed here. We don't have anything like that that's open to everybody and not just in one little corner of the community. So survey results came back from teachers, from doctors, religious leaders, many ministers welcoming the idea, and we were first housed here at First United Methodist. But it was always ecumenical. It was always open to whoever really wanted to be on board. And we extended to Windward UCC, Our Lady of Sorrows Catholic Church, Temple Emmanuel, Waipahu United Church of Christ, Waiokea, Central Union Church, and of course Hompa Homonji. And Judy and I were excited but very nervous one day when we took the letter. We were taking it to Bishop Fujitani at Hompa Homonji, and we went to the temple, and of course this huge, enormous white building, and we had to walk up those steps. We knew his office was in there somewhere, and we're social work students, like, what are we doing, going to see the bishop? But we did, and he was just the most warm, wonderful person that he always is. And he welcomed us, and he loved the idea. He said, we would love to be part of this center. So we were so excited that we were getting all these different religious traditions together, because that means we would be representing many in the community, or able to understand their perspectives. So there are so many people to thank from that first board, and others. Bob Hughes and Rabbi Shackman from Temple Emmanuel was very active with us. Father Fisher from Catholic Tradition, Yoshiaki Fujitani from Honpanji, sorry. UCC ministers, Ted Robinson, Sid Cornell, Waiokea was very active at the time, and just many, many talented and dedicated community volunteers assisted in getting us started. And we incorporated those people and those situations, those churches, as well as incorporating leadership from the community for fundraising, for instance. And that's where dear Jolene Jorel came into being. And she spearheaded many exciting, informational, and motivating fundraising efforts for all of us. And we gathered for lunch like this, but it was sometimes downstairs in the big dining room, or in the big room downstairs here at First United Methodist. And she had a load of candy bars, and she played games, and we got prizes, and we put things up on charts on the walls, and it was very active and energetic and fun, making fundraising fun, which was a new concept. And Bob Dye from the YMCA was very instrumental in bringing us his expertise and showing us ways to fundraise for all of us that were kind of scared to do it, but he put it on a level that we could all understand, and out we went, and we've kept the center alive through all these years. Reverend Ted Robinson was also helpful from Central Union Church, and many of the ministers from around the community joined in to help us, and they saw the value in this. Jolene Jarrell spearheaded many fundraising campaigns, energetic luncheons, led us in contacting churches and temples, and helped all of us grow in our leadership and donating process in terms of approaching people. And we thank her very much. She was a part of the center till her last days, and so she was a very, very special person in our history. The first executive directors came in 1989. So again, you were very...
I wasn't even born then.
And they were a very, very dynamic and wonderful husband-wife team, two ordained ministers, Dr. Phyllis Rowe and her husband, Dr. Michael Anderson. They were from Atlanta, Georgia. Together they opened the office with great expertise and developmental leadership, and together they forged the whole development of the Counseling Center from 1989 forward. We had a few wonderful years with them, but their untimely deaths were a real setback to the center. And we had to take steps to keep the center open and go through those hard times, and we had many wonderful people in the interim who came and helped us lead the center. And we've been blessed with that solid leadership all the way through the years. Through many changes, the Samaritan Counseling Center has remained steadfast in its goals to be a blessing to the community and to provide quality professional counseling centers open to all and providing a sliding scale so that everyone in need could be served. I would like to commend Dr. Gary Augustine, who has been with the center for many, many, many years, for providing staff leadership and professional counseling services both at Central Union and here at First United Methodist Church through the years. You have been unbelievable and steadfast, and I thank you very much. And Kathy Moore, who was with us here, has been a longtime friend and board member and supporter of the center, and has given her budgetary expertise to the board, and many, many thanks to Kathy for that wise counsel and support. Some things you might not know. Gary Augustine has been a stalwart support, I guess that's what I would call you, even with crutches, stalwart, to the Samaritan Counseling Center since 2003.
Well, actually, 1997.
1997, but then after the deaths of
Yeah,
Phyllis,
Phyllis, yes.
since 1993 in that capacity. We provided counseling services once each week in Hilo when Phyllis Rowe was here. And Dr. Rowe would fly over to Hilo in the morning, very early, and Wednesdays, and she would provide counseling during the day and then fly back in the evening. And Hilo residents received that counseling, and that was partially supported by a couple of man and woman in Hilo who gave money to make that happen. But she also provided communication between the churches there. And so I'm not sure where it stands now, and if that counseling component is available as it was, but at least at that time, people began to realize the value of going for counseling. Judge Helen Gilmore greatly assisted us in developing our bylaws in the late 1980s. In fact, she assisted with our accreditation as well, because we weren't all sure what we were supposed to do or how to do it. And so she has, although she's definitely busy with being a judge, she was really instrumental in helping us start. And Robert Hughes, our first board president, he was the former president of the sugar industry and author of a book relating to the history of the sugar industry, and was a great and compassionate person in terms of understanding the needs of the center, and really a great leader in our community. So I wanted to thank all those people. And then lastly, not lastly, because it keeps on going, but the Samaritan Institute in Denver has always been a part of our life as the Samaritan Counseling Center. And they oversee or manage or coordinate different centers all over the United States. And they used to have one or two in Japan, I'm not sure.
We have one in Japan.
One in Japan. But we were affiliated with the Samaritan Institute, and they came and helped us with our accreditation. They urged us and nudged us and everything to get all our paperwork in and to do our bylaws correctly and to do everything from the start so that we could have accreditation. And so I want to give special thanks to them. And they also said that we were the only center which was interreligious, in quotes, in its focus in the whole United States. And perhaps we still are. Protestant, Catholic, Buddhist, Jewish in nature, 107 centers in the U.S. at that time, but most of those centers were just one denomination. Sometimes they had centers that were in a town where the Presbyterian Church was over here and the Catholic Church was over here, and they decided to combine efforts with a therapy kind of setting. But for the most part, everybody was single. Denominations remained single. And so that made us, put us on the history books, so to speak. And the Samaritan Counseling Center, or Samaritan Institute, has been instrumental in where we are today, just because of their background, their support, and when we did not even know what bylaws were, helping us through the process of getting started. So I also want to thank them. Looking around the table today, I'm so excited to see everybody that's here and new, and some old faces, some new faces. What I'd like to pass around is the letter that we sent out on May 20th, 1985, and we sent it to doctors and ministers and people, interfaith groups and so forth, to get sort of an input about whether anybody in the community would be interested in a center like this that addressed different modalities of healing. And then this is the first board that was established, so I'll pass that around. And on the back of that is a history of the center. And so you can kind of look at that. Start them here. I consider all of you Good Samaritans. And I'm going to give you this statement, but I just wanted to share with you the definition of a Samaritan, and it's from the Samaritan Center of St. Joseph, Maryland, and I think Dr. Gary Augustine worked there prior to moving here. And so I think his fingerprints might be on this document. To us, Samaritan means respecting you as a fellow human being, whatever your circumstance, beliefs, race, or station in life. Meeting you where you are, going out of your way to offer of ourselves and our resources, valuing your strength, your potential, and your future, helping in practical ways which are meaningful to you, knowing you are more than the problems burdening you now, responding to you in health-giving, growth-producing ways, holding sacred our relationship with you and with each other, acting with you in your best interests. We take our name seriously. May God continue to bless you and your ministry. And I'm so pleased to be here today. Thank you very much.